Hello and welcome to IAMC Radio and Podcast.
Today we're going to explore the top news headlines for May 19th.
That's right, we've gathered information from various sources to give you a concise overview of what's making news.
Okay, let's jump right in, starting in Nigeria.
Yes, Nigeria first. Authorities there have made a pretty significant arrest. A man named Yahaya Zango. He was wanted for multiple kidnapping incidents in the Federal Capital Territory.
And they caught him where?
At the Abuja airport. What's really notable here is he was apparently trying to leave the country.
Right, as part of the Hajj pilgrimage group.
Exactly. So during the routine screening for pilgrims, security agencies, specifically the DSS, the Department of State Services, they identified him.
And made the arrest, wow.
Yeah. It really, highlights the ongoing struggle Nigeria has with kidnapping. It's a huge security concern there.
Definitely a major issue.
Okay.
What else from Nigeria?
Sticking with Nigeria, but shifting to economics and industry, there's news about potential collaboration with China. China is reportedly planning to set up electric vehicle factories in Nigeria.
EV factories. Interesting.
Yeah, and it seems this is part of a bigger push to deepen collaboration, particularly in the solid minerals sector.
Right, that makes sense. I heard about talks.
That's right. The Chinese ambassador, Yu Donghai, talked about this with Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Delia Lake.
Okay.
And this comes after Presidents Tinubu and Xi Jinping agreed to upgrade their country's relationship. They're calling it a comprehensive strategic partnership.
So more formal ties. And Nigeria's angle.
Well, Nigeria's made it clear they want to prioritize local processing, adding value to their own minerals rather than just exporting raw materials.
Understandable.
Yep.
But there have been issues, haven't there, with mining?
Yes, exactly. While the Chinese government says it's told its companies to follow local laws, Nigeria has definitely raised concerns.
About illegal mining?
Yeah, involving some Chinese nationals. They've even launched this mining marshals initiative specifically to tackle it.
So, collaboration on one hand, but also cracking down on illegal activity on the other. A balancing act.
Precisely. Now, let's move over to Ghana.
Okay, Ghana. What's the news there?
This involves the ECOWAS Court, the Economic Community of West African States Court of Justice. They've ruled on a case about separatists.
Right, the Homeland Study Group Foundation.
That's the one. The court declared Ghana's detention of 9 members of that group unlawful.
Unlawful detention.
Yeah.
These were the individuals arrested back in 2019.
Yes, after they declared independence for Western Togoland, as they call it.
And the ruling.
The court ordered Ghana to pay $2,500 to each of those 9 individuals.
Okay. And the reasoning.
It was about the prolonged detention. Some were held for up to a year without trial. The court found this violated their rights.
Under Ghanaian law and international law.
Correct, specifically citing Article 6 of the African Charter, the right to a fair trial within a reasonable time.
So it wasn't the arrest itself for those 9, but how long they were held.
Exactly. The court dismissed claims the initial arrests were arbitrary for those 9, but upheld the unlawful detention claim because of the duration.
I see. What about the group itself or the independence claim?
The court struck out the HSGF as a party because it's not a legal entity, and it didn't get into the historical claims or challenge Ghana's law on prohibited organizations.
So focus purely on the detention aspect for those specific individuals.
Right. Okay, shifting now to the United States, some quite concerning health news.
Oh, regarding who?
Former U.S. President Joe Biden. He's reportedly been diagnosed with what's described as an aggressive form of prostate cancer.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
It is, and unfortunately reports say it has spread to his bones, metastasized.
How was this discovered?
It followed the finding of a prostate nodule and increasing urinary symptoms, apparently.
And the specifics. Aggressive, you said?
Yes, characterized by a Gleason score of 9 grade group 5, which is, on the higher end of the scale, indicating aggressiveness, and metastasis to the bone.
Is there any positive aspect to the diagnosis?
Well, it's reported to be hormone sensitive, which does allow for potentially effective management using hormone therapy.
Okay, that's something. And this comes after he withdrew from the race.
Yes, you'll remember he withdrew from the 2024 presidential race. He cited health and age concerns, particularly after that debate performance against Trump.
Right, I remember. Okay, difficult news there.
Indeed. Now, let's move to the English Channel, a tragic story here.
Oh no. Migrant boat.
Yes, an overloaded migrant boat broke apart overnight. 1 person sadly died.
but others were rescued.
Thankfully, yes. A large-scale rescue operation saved 61 people. This happened in French waters.
Were children involved?
Yes, among those rescued were a child and their mother, both suffering from hypothermia from the cold water.
Just awful. A joint rescue effort.
It was. Both French and British rescue services were involved. It really underscores the dangers, doesn't it?
Absolutely. These small boat crossings are incredibly perilous.
And the numbers keep rising. Over 12,000 arrivals in the UK this year already via this route. It's heartbreaking.
Truly is.
Oh, okay.
Where next?
Let's go to Argentina. They're dealing with severe weather.
Floods.
Yes, severe floods. One person has died, and unfortunately, 3 others are missing.
Whereabouts in Argentina?
The Buenos Aires area and surrounding regions have been hit by extremely heavy rain, rivers bursting their banks.
Causing a lot of disruption, I imagine.
Huge disruption, roads cut off, fields completely submerged, and nearly 2,000 people have had to be evacuated.
2,000 evacuated. How bad was the rain?
Get this, the rainfall in May was reportedly 5 times the usual amount for this time of year.
Wow, 5 times the average. No wonder there's flooding.
Exactly. Emergency operations are underway now to provide aid.
A difficult situation there.
Okay.
But what's next on the list?
Let's turn to global health, an important nomination at the World Health Organization, the WHO.
For the African region?
Correct. Tanzanian Dr. Mohamed Janabi has been nominated as the next WHO Regional Director for Africa.
This follows the sad passing of the previous director-elect, right?
Yes, exactly. That was back in November last year.
So, who is Mr. Janabi?
He's a cardiologist, and he previously headed Tanzania's largest hospital. Quite experienced.
And the process from here?
His nomination goes to the WHO Executive Board. They'll consider his appointment in May 2025.
And his focus? What has he pledged?
He's talked about strengthening health systems across Africa, tackling infectious diseases, but also the growing challenge of non-communicable diseases, and importantly, the health impacts of climate change.
A broad mandate. Okay.
Now, back to Nigeria for a military update.
Okay, security related.
Yes. Reports indicate a successful Nigerian Air Force strike in Sokoto State.
Against whom?
A key ally of the terrorist leader Bello Turji, a man named Alhaji Shodo Alku. He was reportedly killed.
A targeted strike.
A precision strike, yes. Part of Operation Fagyama. It targeted a location near Tunfa Primary School.
And the intelligence suggested
that Alku had come from Niger Republic for a meeting. He was killed along with several other fighters who were there.
So part of the ongoing campaign against these groups.
Exactly. Disrupting terrorist networks in the Northwest is a major focus for the military there.
Right. Okay, let's shift back to the U.S. political news this time.
Yes. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he plans to launch a major investigation.
Into what?
Into celebrity endorsements received by Kamala Harris during her unsuccessful presidential run.
On what grounds? What's the allegation?
President Trump is alleging that her campaign improperly paid for these endorsements.
Paid for them? How?
He claims the payments were disguised as, entertainment expenses, which he says isn't allowed under campaign finance rules.
And he named names?
He did. Specifically mention Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, and Bruce Springsteen.
Have they responded?
Well, Oprah Winfrey defended a payment to her company, saying it was legitimate, and Harris's team has denied paying Beyonce for an endorsement.
Interesting. And of course, President Trump had less support from that sector himself.
That's true. He received notably less backing from the entertainment industry during his campaign, so that's the latest there.
Okay. One final story.
Yes, finally, an update on the situation in Ukraine. Efforts towards a ceasefire.
Who is involved in this push?
U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly planning a phone call with Russia's Vladimir Putin.
The goal being a ceasefire.
That's the stated primary goal, yes. To push for a ceasefire.
This follows those talks in Istanbul.
Correct. The recent Russia-Ukraine negotiations in Istanbul didn't result in a breakthrough, so this seems to be a new initiative.
President Trump has been vocal about wanting to end the conflict.
He has, repeatedly. And he apparently also plans to speak with Ukrainian President Zelensky and NATO officials too.
And the allies' position.
Western allies are generally pushing for sanctions to remain, to encourage Russia to engage seriously in peace talks.
Meanwhile, on the ground,
the conflict continues. Ukraine actually reported a record number of Russian drone attacks overnight.
So diplomatic efforts alongside intense fighting. A complex situation.
Very much so. And that wraps up our main headlines for today.
Quite a range of news from around the globe.
Thank you for listening to today's top news headlines on IAMC Radio and Podcast.